MDA Space beating profit and revenue estimates in its latest quarter, and the company sticking with its forecast for the year. There's lots going on at this player in satellite technology. It's working with NASA. It's also working on a potential, with the people behind a potential spaceport in Nova Scotia. They had the earnings call this morning. He's just fresh off that. We're joined by the CEO, Mike Greenley. Mike, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Good morning.
Tell us, what was the number one thing in the quarter, do you think, the most important thing?
Just continued effective execution. The company's got a strong backlog at the moment of about $4.4 billion. We're executing on that. So the team's done a great job of just executing through the quarter and delivering well. That's caused that year-over-year growth of that 45% revenue lift, like you mentioned, and 49% EBITDA lift.
And just remind us, where do you make most of your money? Is it actually building satellites?
In three areas. One is building satellites that we sell to others. The second is building space-based robotic systems like the Canadarm and rovers for the moon and Mars, and selling those to others. And then the third is owning and operating radar satellites. We operate RadarSat-2. We're building Chorus, our next generation satellite. We fly those satellites and we deliver imagery primarily to defense and intelligence customers around the world.
That's interesting, defense and intelligence customers. So this Chorus, that's your newest line of spy satellites, if I can call them that?
It's a radar satellite, synthetic aperture radar satellite. It is used for defense and intelligence purposes, yes. It's also used for environmental monitoring. We'll monitor ice flows, all the ships in the ocean, deforestation in large forested areas. There's a number of applications for radar-based Earth observation. Chorus is our next generation Earth observation satellite that will launch a year from now.
And there was some kind of a delay involving Chorus, obviously a complicated technological business. Tell us what's happening there, please.
Yeah, there was a minor delay shift. We just announced that we slipped our target launch date to the end of 2026. It was previously mid-2026. We had an issue with some suppliers there, and they've been resolved. But as a result, there's been a bit of a delay. We're in the process now of doing the final integration on that satellite so that we can take it through its testing in 2026 and get it to the launch site.
Let's have a look at a 5-year chart for your stock. Investors got a jolt there in September because you were planning to deliver something like $1.8 billion worth of gear to EchoStar, but they cancelled that deal partly because they changed their business plans, sold spectrum to SpaceX. You are going to get some compensation. Can you give us some kind of idea of what dollar figure you're expecting?
I can't give you the specific dollar figure right now. We have to complete what's called a termination agreement. We're in the process of doing that right now. So we'll get that signed off, and then we'll know all the exact details of that. The important part about it is that we are certainly compensated for all of our costs and liabilities that we've taken on in signing that contract to make sure that we're kept whole.
And your debt is, give us your debt to equity ratio right now, or your debt.
I think right now it'll be a bit less than 1 at the moment. We maintain a revolver as our primary credit facility at the moment, and we're using a bit of that at the moment for operating working capital reasons. And so we have very low debt. We have a very strong balance sheet. We have gone through a heavy investment cycle the last several years. And invested over $700 million into the business and our new product lines, and in MDA Chorus satellite that we mentioned, the MDA SkyMaker, our next line of robotics after Canadarm, and MDA Aurora, our new digital satellite. In addition to some new facilities, we put a new headquarters and robotics facility in Brampton, Ontario, and Toronto, and we're currently completing a very large expansion of our satellite production capability in Montreal.
Good for you. I'm sorry, that debt ratio of 1, is that debt to EBITDA?
Yeah.
Right. Tell us about your role then in this spaceport in Nova Scotia. Can you tell us what it's going to be and how you'll be involved?
Yeah, we're going in as an operational partner. We've taken a minor equity position, as was announced, and we're going to provide operational support to the facility. That allows us to use our expertise in large space programs in Canada, interaction with governments, interaction with international market community, to be able to facilitate the continued growth and evolution of Canada's spaceport. a spaceport is like an airport, but it's for rockets.
Yeah.
And so multiple rocket operators would want to use that spaceport in the future to be able to launch things into orbit, and gives Canada a domestic launch capability, which is really important for especially defense purposes and sovereignty purposes, to ensure that the country has their own launch capability within Canada. So we're going to just be involved. We'll have a seat on the board there, and use our 55, 56 years of experience as the largest space company in Canada to be able to help grow up a key aspect of the space ecosystem in the country.
And apparently it's being billed as Canada's first commercial launch spaceport. What's the technical advantage of putting it in Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia is in a good spot, actually. You'll often see spaceports or launch sites being on coastlines, so that as you launch, you're not going over the population. Mm-hmm. And then from a latitude perspective, Canada provides a nice location to be able to reach a lot of the different locations that people will want to get to in orbit. So it's a strategic location. And not being in the United States is also of an advantage, as we build more capacity for both the U.S. to use and the international community to use, in addition to Canada's domestic needs.
Sorry, what's the advantage of not being in the U.S.?
Just to be not part of the in the U.S., things can get really busy, and the queue can get clogged up. So in terms of us being an opportunity for launch outside the U.S., to be able to have a surge capacity outside the United States is useful, in addition to other countries wanting to access a launch site if they didn't really want to launch from the U.S. Mm-hmm. Launching from Canada in a good strategic latitude provides an attractive offering for people.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've heard some U.S. launch sites, they squabble over who gets the launch slots. There's so much going on.
Yeah, and the United States government can at times have an override. If the U.S. military, or the government wants to use things, they can bump commercial customers. And so it's often to have a nice, clean commercial spaceport in Canada is an attractive feature in the global launch market.
And before we let you go, remind us of your role in the Artemis program that could ultimately see people put back on the moon.
We have a few potential roles as a company, MDA Space. One of our largest contracted elements at the moment is Canadarm3. That's a contract we have with the Canadian Space Agency to build, develop, and deliver the robotic system for Gateway, which will be a new space station that will orbit the moon. That program is underway. In addition, we are in competition. We are on a team in competition with NASA for the Lunar Terrain Vehicle System. That the winning team should be announced this fall. That is to put human rovers on the moon for people to drive around on. Mm-hmm. Canada is running a competition for the Lunar Utility Vehicle. We're one of the contenders for that, to have a cargo moving vehicle on the lunar surface. And in the United Kingdom, MDA Space UK is involved in a team for Moonlight, which is to deliver the communications network for the lunar surface. So a number of programs that we're involved in as it relates to overall Artemis program and the return of humans to the moon as we go through the next few years.
Mike, thank you very much indeed. Mike Greenley, CEO of MDA Space.